I'm happy to be on a call today with Lisa Mancini, who's a Vice President Operations for GDCC in US. Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Lisa Mancini, as you just stated, and I oversee the U.S. Business for GDCC. We got acquired by GDCC back in 2018. We were with Opinion Research Corporation, Engine, and Engine was looking for a partner to take on the call centers because Engine was a full-service marketing research firm, and about 3 years prior to that, decided to divest their call centers. So they were looking for a very good partner, and spent a lot of time researching the marketplace and finding the appropriate partner, because part of the partnership was also for us to continue to do all of the phone work for Engine ORC International. So they wanted to find somebody where that partnership would be likely. So Engine is currently our largest client, and we do most of their call center work under the GDCC umbrella. And so now we're owned by, global GDCC based out of Rotterdam. That's kind of how we entered the U.S. market. This was GDCC's first United States marketplace.
So how big is the call center you're running? Is it one or more?
So right now we have one physical location. We have had more over the years, but right now we have one physical location. However, 85% of our staff is remote at this point. With the pandemic last year, we had a work-at-home workforce prior to that. We had about 35, 40 people that were home workers prior to COVID. But then when COVID hit, of course, everybody had to go home. And so we transitioned the rest of the team to home workers, and it's working beautifully. And so our plan long-term is to keep our staff working from home, with the exception of a few managerial staff in the office, and then a few telephone interviewers who don't have the means to be able to work from home. Wonderful. And so we have anywhere between up to 350 to 375 employees, scattered all over the United States.
Did you find it challenging or easy to switch into this remote working using the current data collection tools?
Yeah, so it was pretty fluent and seamless. It was not a difficult task. Part of that is Nebu is really set up in a very good way to be virtual and cloud-based and be able to access the information wherever you're at. On top of that, we had the work at home protocol in place already. So a lot of market research companies out there who didn't have that had many more struggles than we did, because they had to establish all new process and protocols and rules. And we already had that set up.
Yeah, wonderful. I wonder how the home working for interviewers translates into their productivity. Did you have any concerns on that level? And how is it handled?
Yeah, go ahead. So, we had concerns when you don't see somebody in front of you, and measuring their work ethic and them dialing and staying on task was always a concern, which is why we kind of had a smaller base in the past. But really, it's been really, really good. The efficiency tools that we have built in within Nebu to be able to measure their calls per hour, their contact rates, their response rates, their dials, their time, is really makes it very easy for us to measure their productivity. And overall, I'm going to say probably at least 85% are right on task with where they should be. And if they're not, we have very strong tools to be able to watch and coach and mentor appropriately, and then help drive them in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's two types of monitoring. There's monitoring the reports and looking at stats, whether it's production numbers, dial rates, strike rates, length of interview, refusal rates, but then there's also real-time listening in and monitoring on the phone, hearing the conversation. So we do a blend of listening real time, then sometimes we listen to recordings as well, because everything is fully recorded, and we have access to all those recordings on both the manual platform and the predictive platform. And Nebu really offers strong tools for that.
Oh yeah, and you're mentioning the manual platform and the automatic platform. Is it due to TCPA compliance?
Yeah, so we have to have two platforms for TCPA. In the United States, you can't call a cell phone on a dialer. And so we need to make sure, and the cost for out of compliance can be millions of dollars. So it's really important to invest in the right software for that, so that you make sure that your calls are routed through the right dialing platform. And so all of our cell phones go through the manual platform, and all of our landlines go through the predictive platform. And they're totally separate cloud-based environments when we partner it with the Cytel dialer.
Yeah, wonderful. And maybe a few words, if you could tell us about the scope of your activities.
So we field a variety of different types of studies. We have a fairly large B2B commercial presence in the United States, where we're talking to executives, vice presidents, IT managers, low-level managers, and so forth. We do a lot of customer satisfaction tracking studies, whether it's with businesses or consumer projects. Over the years, we have fielded quite a bit more consumer dialing during the day because of the cell phone presence. Cell phones are much higher presence now in the United States than they ever were. And at least 60 to 70% of our calls end up going out via cell phone. And so because of that, it's given our scalability more to dial some of that during the day. We do quite a bit of polling during polling cycle, political polling. We do quite a bit of insurance tracking studies. Any product or service that's marketable, we have done some type of research on, or we can do research on.
Yeah. And you're working strictly on the US market, or also in a broader sense globally?
Yeah, so we most of our work is in the US market, although we do overflow a little bit more broad, and we do touch upon some other countries that work within our time zone. So we'll call UK at times, we've called Hong Kong. So when there's some overflow needed, because obviously GDCC Europe has a very large footprint in the European market, and so they have call centers all over and able to handle most of the time zones within that. But there's times where we do help out when either center is busier or slower, and we partner with each other. So Europe will help us in the United States, and we will help them in Europe. And now that it's virtual and they can be at home, you don't have to have staff in the office at 2 a.m. to manage it. You can just have your interviewers log in on their own and dial, and you don't necessarily have to be watching it at that same level, which is very nice and quite a big benefit with the Nebu platform. I mean, the Nebu platform is a very strong data collection tool. I've used a lot of data collection tools over the years, from SPSS to CFMC to confirm it. And this one probably gives me the most scalability and the most real-time access to looking at the stats and the data and be able to manipulate it. And the staff within Nebu is fantastic to work with. Like the support team and the response rate is very, very reactive. And as in a call center, real-time live production environment, that's so critical at times. Sometimes you can't wait 2 hours for someone to get back to you. If you have 100 people dialing and they're all on downtime because of an issue within the platform, getting someone's attention right away, and then considering we're US and your time is not US, I'm very impressed with the level of responsiveness from the Nebu team.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. Have a great day and speak to you soon.
That sounds good. You do the same.